All right, let's go over some colored pencil techniques. Hopefully your page is ready to get started. The first one is going to be pressure with one color. So I want you to do a value scale, pick a color, maybe a darker color, it doesn't have to be black, and push really, really hard, and then lighten up the pressure as you go down your value scale. Try to lighten it up to go as light as you can. All right, the next one is pressure with two colors. So I want you to pick two colors that are close together on the color wheel, or just two different varieties of the same color. So I have a dark green and a light green. I even have another lighter green. That one's broken. So I'm just gonna stick to these two. I'm gonna start, same thing, push as hard as I can with one color. And then as I gradually release the pressure, I'm gonna go very light. Now I'm gonna jump in with my other color. So now I'm doing some layering here, and you're kind of ending more with the lighter color. Okay, so now you've kind of layered two colors. I always recommend when coloring with colored pencils, you almost always want to have at least two colors layered together. Okay, and you could even throw in, if you wanted to, a little bit of yellow at the end there. All right, so the next one is pressure in a shape. So when using colored pencils, let's say you're coloring in a shape, I'm gonna also do two colors here. It always looks nice, almost always, not always, to kind of give your coloring a little bit more, just kind of gives it more of a nicer look, more of a three-dimensional look, and just a little more dynamic if you push a little harder along edges and then a little bit lighter in the middle of your shape or whatever it is you're coloring. So here's my heart. Definitely went a little harder around the edge. Going lighter in the middle. And I'm sort of combining what I did here. I'm gonna go ahead and throw a little of that pink on top. All right, so that's how I would do it in a shape, this same kind of technique. Okay, next one says directional lines. All right, I'm gonna try to use some of my greens here. This is good for doing stuff like grass texture or hair or fire. So maybe I'm gonna start with my grass texture. I'm doing some darker greens. I'm gonna layer in there some lighter greens. This might be good for like a tie-dye effect also. And then a little bit of a lighter green here. All right, so I've got kind of a nice grass texture. So I'm not trying to make it nice and smooth as I did here. This one I'm really trying to show the lines. Okay, my next one says imprint. Now I have this little texture plate here. There's a lot of things that you could do this with, like I'm sure you've done leaf rubbings. I'm sure that you have had something even accidentally underneath the paper you were coloring on before and it was left with a kind of an indentation. So we're gonna do it intentionally, and I do have some texture plates that we could use this for. So for this one, I'm putting it underneath. It actually works a little better with thin paper, but you know, I don't normally recommend you use thin paper. But I'm just going to try to hold it in place with my brick texture. And I'm holding my pencil like this. I'm trying to use kind of the side of my colored pencil, I guess lead here, to get my brick texture. You could use a coin for this also, or a seashell, anything that has a nice texture to it. All right, you might not use this very often, but it's a nice technique to know. Okay, my last one is 3 little techniques here. You need to make sure, even for all these really, but that you have a nice sharp pencil for this. I'm gonna go with my red here because it's pretty sharp. So this looks also, these techniques are really good for pen, for also just for using with pen or pencil. But this is hatching. Try to fill in your box with hatching. This is cross hatching, so we're gonna do the same thing, only we're gonna go in another direction. Okay, these are ways to make values without just doing pressure or using color. And then the last one is scumbling. Scumbling is more of a mark making where you make little circles. So I'm gonna actually scumble with 2 colors here. I'm gonna go from my red to my kind of, well, actually 3 colors. This is sort of like a red-orange, and I'm gonna end with more of a kind of a mustardy orange looking color. Okay. All right, now it's your turn.